Now that we've talked briefly about interval notation and graphing things on a number line, parentheses and brackets, let's start working with that. So in these examples it says to write each inequality using interval notation and graph the inequality. Our first example, if we read this off, says 2 is less than or equal to x is less than or equal to 10. Now I know it says to write the inequality as an interval first, but I think that it's easier actually to go ahead and look at it on a number line first. So if I were to graph this out, let's say here's 0 on my number line. 1, 2, there 2 would be here. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 would be here. I'm talking about all of the x's in the middle of 2 and 10. So that would be everything from 2 over here to 10. Now we need to decide if the endpoints are included or not. And if you'll remember, that depends on whether we had equality or not. Both of these endpoints actually do have equality, so that tells us that we get a bracket around both of those. Now this is going to be much easier to go ahead and write our interval notation. We're starting at 2 and going up to 10, and both of the ends had brackets. Now this is called a closed interval because both of the endpoints are valid points. In the next problem it says x is greater than or equal to 6. So let's draw that out on a number line. Here's my 0 for reference. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 would be right here. So all of the things that are greater than or equal to 6 would be to the right of 6, going out forever. Because we have equality here, that 6 is an included endpoint, so I have to use a bracket. And now we can write that as interval notation. We're starting at 6, and we're going all the way up to the right forever and ever, so we're going to infinity. Now infinity always gets a parenthesis because we don't really know exactly where it is. It's just some magical place out at the very end of the number. So we don't have any idea, so we use a parenthesis always for infinities. The 6, however, was an included endpoint, so it got a bracket, and it does in interval notation as well. The last problem here says x is less than 3/2. So here again, I'm going to draw it out first. There's 0, 1, 2 on my number line. 3/2 would be somewhere in the center here. Because it's 3/2 is 1 1/2, so I'm going to mark it between the 1 and the 2. Now all of the things that are less than 3/2 would be to the left of 3/2. And we need to decide, is 3/2 included or not? Well, there's no equality here, so that should get a parenthesis instead. Now that it's graphed, it's much easier to read off the interval notation. So that starts way out here to the left at negative infinity, and it goes all the way up to 3/2. Now negative infinity, just like positive infinity, always gets a parenthesis around it. And because the 3/2 is not an included endpoint, there's no equality, it also gets a parenthesis.